Hi, my name is Ben Davidson. I'm currently a senior at Oglethorpe. I interned in the tax department at Windham, Brannon this spring, and my main responsibility consisted of preparing tax returns for different businesses, individuals, trusts, not-for-profits, and also doing some gift tax returns throughout the internship. So a little background about the firm. The firm itself was ranked a top 2020 workplace by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It was actually the highest ranking mid-sized CPA firm at number 10. It was also voted the 8th fastest growing accounting firm, and it was also a best place to work in 2019 as well as 2020. So here you can see a little bit of background about the firm a little bit more. This is sort of the business segments that the firm operates in. So you can tell that obviously the firm is very diverse in the work that it does, which is an extreme benefit in a time like this with a lot of uncertainty, with the highest portion of income coming from at least 16% of the business. So now going into the tax team itself, the tax department is split up into 3 different teams: the high net worth individuals team, other business team, which includes any state and local taxes, general business and international tax as well, and then the real estate, construction, and not-for-profit team. And the great thing about the internship was we got to rotate between these teams. So the tax return process itself involves a lot of steps. So first, the information is provided by the clients to the firm, and then the firm uploads the information into one of 3 softwares, of which I'll touch on a little bit later. And those softwares are called Engagement, iChannel, and SurePrep, all used for different types of returns. So from here, the return is prepared, which was my role. Once the return is prepared and a draft is prepared, it's reviewed and review points are given, which are just things to correct about the return. And then usually a second draft is prepared and sent off and reviewed before it is finalized and sent to the IRS. So here is our internal data storage that we use. It's called iChannel, which I mentioned earlier. This stores anything from prior year returns to current year drafts, any preparation work papers, communication, legal documents, or any permanent client information. This is the firm's external data storage, which is called ShareFile. And this allows for documents to be sent directly to clients and to be directly received by the firm from clients. And in my opinion, this is the easiest and quickest way to get information directly from the client into the tax software itself. So here's a website that we use called XCM. This is our workflow management software that we used. It organizes, it handles assigning returns, it tracks all the time within that as well. And this is where usually work is assigned or pulled from. So this is Engagement, which is the business return software. It helps prepare anything from regular business returns to corporations, S corporations, and estates as well. It allows for an easier flow of work papers through tying things together, and allows a lot more data to go into the returns. This is SurePrep, which, like Engagement, is a preparation site that we used. This is for individuals, though, and for trusts, which is usually a lot smaller than the business returns themselves. And this helps us sort of organize it into binders, which makes things a lot easier to look over. This itself is our actual tax preparation software that we use. It's called ProSystems. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different inputs that you can use to input any sort of information that you could think would be relevant to a tax return. And you can also preview the return itself in here, and it also prepares everything to be electronically filed for the IRS. This is our time entry practice engine that we use, which tracks any billable and non-billable time to the clients. And it sort of keeps track of any payments or invoices that have been sent or received. And it also can help track meal and travel reimbursements if you are traveling for work. So this is a little bit different. This was sort of more sparingly used on individual returns. It's called a mutual fund guide, which helps figure out any tax-exempt interest and what's taxable and not taxable in the taxpayer's home state. And it obviously changes depending on the fund and the states in which the taxpayer had any activity in. And from here, it's Fixed Asset CS, which I'm sure you can tell is for fixed assets within larger businesses who are very asset heavy, or even clients who have a lot of assets themselves. And it helps track any depreciation, cost, and any disposals or additions in the current year. So one thing that I learned in the internship was that prioritization is a big thing about being successful. So the firm really emphasized only pulling work that you know that you can begin immediately. That way nothing gets backed up, and making sure that we pull it in order of what's been in there the longest, while also keeping an eye on deadlines and focusing on those as well. So another process of the tax return, which was our very last step, was self-review. And so this was looking over the return and checking for errors before sending it off for review itself. So my method was checking to make sure any forms produced last year in the return were also produced this year, and also just looking for basic typos or grammatical errors. So this is what our pool looks like, and let's say that the pool is empty. So what to do now when you don't really have any work? The main thing was to stay productive and try to reach out to as many people as you can to see if you can help with smaller projects, or to see if there's even some work that you can be directly assigned yourself. So one thing that I definitely didn't anticipate for this internship was working from home. So once COVID-19, I think it was about the second week in March, we were all required to work from home, and this was very unexpected, but the firm really pushed to normalize things as much as possible while still staying in daily or weekly meetings with certain teams to maintain communication. And speaking of that communication, there's a lot of communication that needed to be done with a lot of deadline changes for taxes. So any April 15th deadlines for any individual returns or anything that's due on that date was pushed back to July 15th. And then any estimated payments as well were pushed back further. And so that was a big impact on the planning itself.
Thank you so much. If there are any questions for Ben, you can either, oh, Eli has a question. How did you find out about the internship?
So I actually found out about the internship first through Handshake, was how I applied through there. And then I ended up going to a Meet the Firm event, which allowed for me to go and sort of learn more about the firm's background itself and sit through a couple of interviews there.